Hello and welcome to Board Game Gumbo. Today we're unboxing Bristol 1350 by Facade Games. This is actually the fourth in a line of games from Facade that is called their book series because the games look like books once you put them on the shelf. And I quite enjoy them. This is my personal copy of the game, and I really like the social deduction and light gameplay that these games offer. Bristol 1350 can be played anywhere from 1 to 9 players and plays in about 20 to 40 minutes. Before we get into the game itself, we'll talk about a few of these little extras we have here. These are just character meeples that we got extra with the game. So you'll see in the game once we open it that these are just wooden pawns, but you could have gotten these sculpted ones instead. So of course I did. And we also have this character pack. So there are quite a few characters to choose from when you play the game. And this is just extra characters that they included, I believe, only in the Kickstarter. So you will be able to find this game in retail, but as far as I know, that these character cards will not be available in retail itself. So these are simply some extra character cards. And all these character cards have a different special action, which you can see on the back here. And on the front, they actually tell you the 3 main actions you can take on your turn. But here are our different cards. And then at the back here, we just have a sort of a thank you card. And I'll go ahead and show you the side with the special action as well. Again, you can see it's the same artwork, just a little clipped so they can do the special action. I'll go ahead and flip through those real quick and you can pause if you want to. I really enjoy the artwork on this game. It's a very dark and sort of morbid theme to the game, but they did this very sort of Mask of the Red Death art style, which I appreciate. Then we get to the game itself here. Do have a page on the back just letting us know that this is the deluxe edition. I will point out, to the best of my knowledge, the difference between this deluxe edition and the retail edition when we get to it. So here's our game with some more of that fabulous art and our rule book. Facade does social deduction style games that play fairly quickly. This is another one of them. So you're going to start play in one of the 3 carts, depending on number of players. And those carts will move during the course of play through a random dice roll. And your objective is to exit the city while not having the plague. Unfortunately, your cart mates may have the plague, and they probably don't want to tell you that they have the plague, because one of the things you can do during the course of the game is essentially kick players out of your cart if you believe they do have the plague. And of course, if you do already have the plague, then your objective changes to making sure that nobody else survives. So either all carts need to have the plague or the carts need to be empty. These are just some extra art print cards that were sent. I believe these are part of the deluxe expansion. So if you have the base pledge, you won't have these cards. Then we have our map here, which is also our game board. So here is the city of Bristol. And as I've already mentioned, you'll start in one of 3 carts, which will start in the top left of the city here, right next to the 1 spot on the board. And you'll be moving throughout the city, following the city streets this way until eventually you exit the city down here at the bottom. That movement is facilitated by the dice. At the start of each round, one player is going to roll all of the dice, and that's going to tell you a few different things. First of all, you're looking at the colors of the dice, and that will tell you how many spaces that cart will move. So in this case, the brown cart would move 4 spaces, the white cart would move 1, and the red cart would move 1. However, you also see there are 2 different symbols. So you have sort of the apple symbol here, and then you have this symbol over here, which is the rat symbol. Now the rat symbol represents infection. And what happens is at the end of a round, if you have too many rat symbols, every player in that cart has to essentially exchange symptoms. You'll be given symptom cards at the beginning of the game, which may determine if you have the plague or not. And these symbols being having a certain number of them at the end of a round will force all the players in that cart to exchange cards, as well as adding an additional symptom before exchanging happens. So you may go from not having the plague to having the plague. So one of the things you can do on your turn is you can reroll dice. So if you're on the brown cart, you probably want to reroll these 2 dice as your action. And that kind of helps you in that regard, because now you only have 1 rat die instead of 2, and that doesn't trigger that effect. Other things that we have here. So we have a deck of cards, which is sort of the main focus of the game. We'll have several different types of cards in here. So first of all, we have more character cards. I'll go ahead and point out now that this is, the size is a little odd. This isn't a standard card size, but they are very nicely textured. It's not, it's slightly a linen finish. It's not as strong of a linen finish as I've felt on other cards, but they are quality cards. So here are our other character cards, which we'll go ahead and add to the cards we had earlier. Just put them off. So here we have remedy cards. So remedy cards you can gain through the course of the game, and they give you special abilities that you can then use. As I mentioned when looking at the character cards, they have a special ability on the back, but on the front they tell you essentially the 3 things you can do on your turn. Reroll 2 of your dice. You can move your pawn, either moving around in the cart you're in or actually jumping into another cart, and you can draw a remedy card. Remedy cards give you an additional ability on your later turns. So on your subsequent turn, if you drew this remedy card, you could choose to do one of these instead of one of those 3 actions. For instance, you have crushed emeralds here, give you 1 extra movement action, and you have a pomander that allows you to draw 2 extra symptoms and keep any 2 of the 4, discarding the other 2. So these are just different remedy cards that give you special abilities. Some may allow you to manipulate dice, others may allow you to manipulate symptoms, or you can look at alms tokens, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then our last few cards are going to be the symptom cards. So at the start of the game, each player is going to be dealt 2 symptom cards. They range from 1 to 4. So we have 1 being a headache, 2 you have a cough, 3 you have the chills, and a 4 you have essentially the Black Death. Any combination of 6 or higher means that you are infected. And again, you're going to get 2 of these cards. So it is possible to have a 4 and a 1 and still not be infected. Once you are infected, that changes your win condition. You go from wanting to get out of the city to making sure nobody else gets out of the city. We have alms coins here. Now this is one of the deluxe expansions. I believe in the base game, these are just cardboard. And this is one of the optional things you can play with. It's called the alms expansion. And I don't know all the rules for this, but I do know that after you receive an alm, these coins are going to be out on the table just for everybody to see, but they all have the same back. And once you resolve one of them, you can then look at another one. Some of these have the rat symbol and some of them have this apple symbol, so they're safe. So that's that expansion. And then we have the carts themselves. And this is another difference from the base game, is that in this version that I got, these are actually metal. And in the base game, I believe they're wooden. So here are little metal carts, and they will start up here at the start of the game. And we have our standard meeples here, which we do have the upgraded sculpted ones, but just to show you what the regular ones look like. Just a different color meeple to represent other people. And as we talked about earlier, these will just start in a random cart of some type. Depending on player count, will determine how many people you put in each cart, and I believe also how many carts you start with. And then finally, we just have a little bag here where you can keep all your dice and your pawns in. And that's it. That's everything you get in a copy of Bristol 1350 by Facade Games.